a nice Wednesday morning. And top of the morning to you all. Welcome to the stream. You know, I was thinking about what to do for the stream today because the news is still a little bit slow. There's not too much going on out there in the world. Nothing too crazy as far as the nerdy stuff is concerned. And I was like, you know, we talked a little bit yesterday about the MCU and it rebooting and the possibility of that groundwork being laid right now in Marvel Comics via Jonathan Hickman, Ultimate Invasion, the relaunching of the Ultimates universe. And so I figured today, since there's not much going on, it would be cool to go through the Ultimate Invasion story and kind of explain to you guys what happens in the comic. I'll actually pull the comic up on stream. We'll go through some of it. I'll talk through some of the things that I think are absolutely dope in the comic. And then in the back half of the stream, we'll kind of think about everything that's in this Ultimate Invasion story and how it could be adapted for the MCU. And you'll find that there's a lot of similarities in this story to what's currently going on right now with Marvel, at least as far as end of time, beginning manipulation, and the end and the beginning meeting in the middle. It's a really cool story, but like all Jonathan Hickman stuff, it's really heady, it's really weird. And so I figured I could try to break it down and maybe explain some of the confusion, explain why it's so dope. And this can serve for a couple of purposes. Number one, just to know what is Ultimate Invasion and kind of just know about some cool stuff that Marvel Comics is doing. But if you're like me and the new Ultimates run is going to be like a thing you're really going to jump back into as far as Marvel Comics is concerned, this will lay the groundwork for what the sort of fabric of that universe is going to be, at least some of the big lingering questions. A lot of people speculate that the stuff that's in this story, most of it, is going to be left to linger and come back later in the story for the Ultimates universe overall. And I think after we go over some of that stuff, you'll see why. It is pretty freaking wild, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what I kind of wanted to do on stream today. Hope you guys don't mind. And also, what's up? Hope you guys are doing well, man. Hope you guys are doing well. We'll, of course, save some time for Q&A and all that. You know, maybe a little bit more of a casual stream, you know? But I was like, screw it, man. Screw it. I want to talk comics. I want to talk Hickman comics. So here we go. Oh, and also, I guess for the sake of show notes, no stream tomorrow. I will probably have some videos out. Maybe a video tomorrow, maybe a video over the weekend, just kind of going over stuff. Hopefully there's some news that drops. Otherwise, I've got some cool theories. Tomorrow night, though, we are going to do the watch party for Loki episode 3, and I think that's going to be pretty cool. The rumor is, and I don't want to give I don't want to give any spoilers away, but the rumor is we're going to see some major developments in the show. There might be something major going on tomorrow, and I'm honestly like, I'm really interested to check it out and see the performance. You know, a lot of people, look, let's just call it what it is. A lot of people came into the show, and a lot of the people that saw like the first 4 episodes, they did not love Jonathan Majors' performance in Loki as Victor Timely. So I guess we'll check it out together and we'll just see for ourselves, you know, how do we feel about it, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I think we're going to get some fun timey-wiminess. I've heard this is a pretty good episode, and I've heard episode 4 is going to blow us all away. So I'm excited for that. We'll be doing that tomorrow night, but no stream in the morning. Friday morning, we will do another stream. We'll put the gambling back on for all the fiends. We'll do some call-ins. We'll have our regular Friday stream, and then Saturday morning we will do Saturday morning cartoons. But here's the thing, okay? I want to talk to you guys just real quick, just one thing, real quick. I would really like to show the people that show up on Saturday. I'd really like to show you guys a Warhammer animation. Doesn't have to be the like all of it. I just want to show. I want to show some of it and watch some Warhammer animation on Saturday morning. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that too far? Have I crossed the line? Boo this man. What? You guys got to get with the program. And I'm, you know what? Another thing I'm working on today, man. You know another thing? I'm working on some Rebel Moon videos. Yeah, bro. I'm going to do some Rebel Moon videos because I have to convince you all that Rebel Moon is going to be the biggest franchise of all time, because it is. Okay? It is. We're about to enter a new era of pop culture where Rebel Moon is taken over. And then after Rebel Moon sort of introduces you all to like, oh man, that cool kind of sci-fi with an edge. Ooh, I like that. Bam! Warhammer comes in. Making some Gen V in the boys content. Bro, I think Gen V is like... I'm not a fan. Let me just say it. I'll say it like this. It wasn't my cup of tea. Okay? It's not my cup of tea. So, no, I'm not going to be doing Gen V. And from what I hear, nobody's really watching that show. Anyways, it's getting very low numbers. Like Ahsoka numbers. Oh, no! Fuck! Okay, hey, look, everybody, calm down. Everybody relax. It's okay. You know, we're going through some time. You know, this is a weird time right now. And look, all I'm trying to say is that Rebel Moon's going to save us all. Okay, so I got to start making some videos about Rebel Moon to educate you guys, because there's all these people like on Twitter and all these, I don't know about that. No! Shut your mouth! Shut your mouth! And then open it! And take all these Rebel Moon videos! Sheesh. People watching Gen V videos? Yeah, there's an audience. Like I said, I think it's about, honestly, I think it is kind of equivalent to what the Disney Plus show audience has been doing. Maybe a little bit lower than that. We'll see. But nah, I'm nah. Gen V, not for me. Gen V, not for me. But hey, if you like it, that's cool. That's cool. All right, so this one's going to be kind of fun. Now, here's the deal. I'm going to try not to make this like an hour-long discussion of all of these books. I'm going to try to move through this stuff, but buckle up, because I feel like it's probably going to be a lot, and there's going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of stuff to try to explain. And again, this is just to go over what happened in this Ultimate Invasion miniseries. It's got 4 parts to it, and it sort of explains the rebirth of the Ultimate universe. And if you've read it, you're probably like, no, it doesn't. But it kind of does. We'll go over all of that, okay? But, importantly, I'm trying to draw parallels to stuff that goes on in this book and stuff that's going to happen in the 616, okay? And one of the things that's really cool, and we can kind of draw a parallel right away, is that there is one fact here within Ultimate Invasion that is really, really important, okay? And this has to do with the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars from 2015, which we have talked about a good bit here. Brutal Bear. Let's go, man. Let's go. Appreciate the love. Okay. I have to explain something about the end of Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars. A lot of you guys probably already know this, but let's just TLDR this, okay? So, at the very end of Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars, Reed Richards, after he is gifted the powers of the Beyonder, it's a really interesting ending. It comes down to him versus Doom. It's really cool. So, after he gets the powers of the Beyonder, he has his son, Franklin Richards. He has his son recreate all the universes of the multiverse. Okay? Because there's nothing left. It's just Battle World. And there's a little piece of each multiverse there, but there's no multiverse. So, using the power of the Beyonder, and it's sort of like a tag team effort between Franklin and Reed. They start recreating the different universes, and they're like throwing it back out into the void, and then boom, multiverse restored. There are a couple of people within the Marvel universe that remember Secret Wars. Seemingly, Reed of 616 is one of those guys. And as we're going to find out in a little bit when we get into the story, that's going to be significant, as this guy, the Maker, who we've talked about the Maker before, right? This is the Reed Richards from the Ultimates universe, Universe 1610. Okay? And so he I don't actually think remembers Secret Wars. It's hard to say. We'll go over it as little things come up here and there in the book. Kind of off topic, but apparently the Collector also remembers Secret Wars and potentially remembers all of the Secret Wars in the past and all those sort of things, because there's a moment in another Jonathan Hickman book that's coming out right now called Gods, where basically one of the main characters, who's kind of like a Marvel version of John Constantine, he has a penny from the old universe, from one of the dead universes. And so he takes that penny from the dead universe and trades it to the Collector, because the Collector understands what it is and understands how valuable it is. It's really interesting. Okay. Miles seems to recall. That's kind of interesting. I don't know that T'Challa knows either. It's kind of hard to say. I have, full transparency, have not been reading a ton of the mainline Avengers stuff. Like, I liked a lot of the Jason Aaron stuff, but like I didn't really read Axe. I kind of know what happened, but I'm kind of all over the place. And the thing that's kind of interesting is it's a beautiful jumping on point for a person like me, because just like the last time I was reading books every week for Marvel was when Jonathan Hickman was doing Time Runs Out, doing New Avengers and Avengers World, and just all that dopeness that led to his Secret Wars. So that's the last time I was like fully invested. And a lot of that stuff carries right over into this book. So one thing, the book basically starts, the first issue starts with your classic heist scene. These guys are hired. It does say this is about 2 months ago to whatever the present timeline of the book is. And one thing you'll notice with these guys is like their tech is absolutely ridiculous. Now, they did have a last minute fill in, as you do in most kind of heist movies. But the one thing to really keep in mind here is just how bananas their technology is, okay? They're like blocking bullets. They've got crazy sonic weapons. It's pretty wild. The one homie here actually uses a black hole grenade. Pretty freaking crazy. So these guys are super well funded. And you can kind of see, too, in the tech, you can kind of see the Maker's symbol in the tech as well. But regardless of all that, they get to their job, and they find the Maker. Okay, again, the evil Reed Richards from Earth 1610. Interestingly, the access code to this door is 1610. That's kind of a bizarre little Easter egg. But regardless of that, he's just chilling there. He's completely naked, and he's in this cell because he's very dangerous, okay? Now he's like, did y'all bring what I needed? And they give him his helmet, and he's like, oh, that's fantastic. He asks them all to remove their helmets and masks so that he can know who they are. It's pretty wild because he recognizes that the one guy is not supposed to be there, and he talks about a 1% anomaly that most people will miss it, but I wouldn't, and he certainly won't, which vexes me to no end. I suppose my choice now is a subtle prayer or more on-brand message. It was last minute, it could do the best, and blah, 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 blah. So this is where it gets like super messed up, because what he does is he has all of the genetic code out of all of these dudes that he hired, and they all get ripped apart violently and re-put together as a perfect copy of himself. A decoy. Okay? Really cool cold open. Really cool way to sort of start the book. And interestingly, down here, which you can't quite see on the screen, I can adjust things as we go along, because I really want to show this part down here. There's a little blurb about the Maker. The Maker, 1610, multiversal Reed Richards, Divergent, Danger. Prisoner possesses universal level intellect combined with megalomania and personal dissociative disorder. Level 1 restrictions are in place and extreme caution is advised. Okay, fast forward to 6 weeks ago, which is 2 weeks after the scene we just saw. The building is destroyed. Now, again, I'm going to try to move quickly through this shit because we're trying not to go too crazy here. But basically, T'Challa and Reed investigating the scene, understanding that there's something really big going on there. And so they go to check on the Maker because Reed is sort of terrified that the Maker would get out, okay? Now, they get in there, and then this part's so crazy. So he says, are you really me? And he says, if you can't tell by now, could you ever? As this thing is disintegrating and falling apart. Now, this is a very bizarre looking visual here, but it does kind of remind me a little bit of the time slipping from Loki season 2. I don't know if that's an intentional parallel or not, but as we'll find out in a little bit here, there is definitely some timey-wiminess that is going on here, okay? So, basically, he wants them to know, he wants Reed to know that he was there, okay? Now, he then goes to the Baxter building, and what's crazy is because he is Reed Richards, he's able to slip right in past all the security. Franklin wakes up and says, Dad, and he's like, shh. And then he goes into this room here, and he says, there you are. I knew you had it in you. So what did he take? That's a sound bridge. And then we go to the necropolis, and we've got Reed in front of the Illuminati in the necropolis. Now, the reason this is so bananas is because the necropolis was where the Illuminati started to convene when Time Runs Out began. When the first incursion happens in Wakanda and T'Challa slips through it and sees the Black Swan and all that sort of stuff, that's when they establish the Illuminati meeting here. I believe. I don't think they met in the necropolis before that. So that's really interesting, a really cool callback. And you have the members of the Illuminati as pretty much the OG members, except that T'Challa is still joined. Okay, so you've got Doc Strange, you've got Iron Man, you've got Black Panther, you've got Professor X, you've got Namor, and then you've got Black Bolt. So this is the OG team, except for one big difference. T'Challa never joined the OG team. T'Challa warned them all against it, said they were fools. Basically, it was like, fuck all that, and left. He joins them during Time Runs Out because of just how crazy it all is with the multiverse ending, right? So to me, this like hit me right in the feels. I was like, damn, this is dope, man. Like, we're getting back to the Illuminati. They're in Wakanda. They're in the necropolis. So that's dope. Now, again, I'm going to try to move through here. We're not going to linger on this, but he ends up stealing something. Basically, he steals something from every single member of the Illuminati. Terrigen crystals, vibranium, an immunity lance in the Sanctum Sanctorum, even one of the portals for Krakoa that you're not supposed to be able to use without a mutant gene, right? So he steals all this stuff, and he wants them to know, okay? Now, this part of the book's pretty crazy. Did he always host the Illuminati? I don't know about that, Trev. I mean, you could be right. For some reason, I just don't remember it that way. I don't think they ever met in Necropolis, but maybe I'm wrong. So, this next part's pretty wild. The next part shows the Maker visiting Miles Morales. Now, the thing that's interesting about this is Miles is also from the Ultimates universe. And I think there's only 3 of them. For whatever reason, the one homie gets completely ignored. But I think Evil Reed is from 1610. Miles Morales is from 1610. And then I think it's Wolverine's son, maybe? Question mark? From the Ultimates universe. Or maybe it's just Ultimates Wolverine. But I think one of them is also in this 616. Is it just Wolverine? Yeah. So, but he's not really involved in the story at all for whatever reason. So, the Maker visits Miles, and he basically says, like, yo, you and I are brothers. We're both from a dead universe that's been erased from history. But I'm going home. And I felt like it would be messed up if I didn't ask you if you wanted to go with me. And I would also hope that if you had the opportunity, you would come get me as well. And Miles basically just says, nah, I'm good. And, Miles has a much better life on 616. So I think he's probably just chilling. But I also think this will come into play much later, okay? He gives him a card that's seemingly blank, and he says, in case you change your mind. And again, I think that's going to come into play later. Pretty crazy. So then we cut to the Illuminati figuring out where he's at and coming to find him, okay? And he's got this crazy setup with all their different technology. They're trying to stop him, but they really can't. Basically, Reed... the Maker says, once I get out of here, all this shit's going to scramble. It would take you years, decades maybe, to figure this out and find out where I'm going. So then, look, they give it literally like everything they have. And he's just literally like, are you finished? Which is pretty cool. And then he dips out, but he asks a parting question of Reed. And he says, if I could do it all again, if I could truly change things, if you had the chance, would you erase me from existence? And Reed pauses a little bit, and then he says, yes. And then the Maker just says, I'll keep that in mind, which is pretty crazy, okay? Then we get a scene where basically, again, just for time's sake, I'm going to sort of fly through this, but you have Peter Parker about to get bit, and this is Earth 6160. So I don't know if this is a branch of 616. That's what it seems like to me. But regardless, the main thing is he kills the spider that was going to bite Peter and prevents him from being Spider-Man. And then I got to go back to the thingy here. Hang on. How do I find... God damn it. It's going to take me through all this special edition stuff. Oh, wait. This is number 2? Chapter 2. Okay, cool. That's fun. Okay. So now we're in this new universe. Okay? It's a different Earth he's changing. So you think this just means that it's a different branch timeline. Which could very well be. I don't think that's ever super clear. But, I suppose it would be like 616B or something. They could denote it if they really wanted to connect it to 616, but it is still kind of connected to 616. I don't know. Okay, so TLDR on the beginning here, we see that this Maker is remaking the world. He's made Loki in charge of Asgard. He destroyed the Rainbow Bridge. He took the Fantastic Four and made them something more manageable by delaying the storm, or their travel towards that storm. But he's explaining that, like, despite everything he's trying to do, there's still some things that just inevitably happen. And then there are some missing bits of history. So one of these things is Bruce Banner becoming the Hulk. Oh, what the hell? One of these things is Bruce Banner becoming the Hulk. He can't prevent that. And the other thing is he can't find Captain America. Despite looking through all this different ice and everything, he can't find Captain America, which is pretty interesting. Now, we find that in Latveria, he has set up this really weird thing called the City. Okay? And we're going to get there in a second. We get the fact that Iron Man in this universe is actually Tony's dad. This is going to become very important, okay? So his dad is Iron Man. And at this point, Anthony or Tony is a younger guy. Obadiah Stane is War Machine. But yeah, Howard Stark is the main Iron Man, okay? And he gets invited over to Latveria. And there's a lot going on in here, but just suffice it to say, he goes to meet the Maker in Latveria, okay? They go to Latveria, and this crazy-looking dome thing is super wild because if I think it's like a month's time in this place is what, like 100 years in the outside world, maybe even 1,000 years. So it's like a hyperbolic time chamber. If you're familiar with Dragon Ball, that's what's going on here. Okay. Now we meet some of the Ultimates, or this new Ultimates universe version of the characters. So like Hulk becomes a monk. You've got the X-Men still. You got the Rasputins. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Now, while they're there at this ceremony where Howard just pulled up, you literally have another fight, and he's like, well, I'm waiting. And you get this shot here of like the sky opening up in this army. Now, what's interesting here is many different versions of Thor, many different versions of Captain America. This, to me, feels very Avengers Forever. Whether you're talking about the OG Avengers Forever or the new Avengers Forever, this feels very Avengers Forever. And I think that's intentional. As you're going to see, it ties to Kang. It ties to like Immortus engines and cool stuff like that, right? Oh, did he really? Because remember, he lived 1,000 years. So the one thing that I'm missing the story between when last I saw the Maker and this now. Because I do think he remakes the Ultimates universe. And then there's like a gap between that story and this. But regardless, they get attacked at this thing where Howard is showing up. There's a ton of different visions. You got this Avengers Forever thing going on, okay? So then they all start fighting. It's pretty chaotic. Obadiah Stane suits up in this really dope-looking War Machine outfit. Super cool. And it's a good fight. People are getting messed up. Obadiah Stane goes critical and blows up. So he dies. And a lot of other people die. When Howard wakes up, this part is so crazy. And I want to see what this is. He shows this like room where they have all of these Avengers there, okay? And he basically says they're from the future. They're from the future. Temporal suicide bombers here to erase me and possibly you from history. And Howard's like, why? Why would they do that? And he's like, isn't that the question? But he's basically like playing mind games with him. And he's like, you want to find out? So then they bring in all of these people, all of these citizens, okay? And he says, in the city, we got rather good at genetic engineering, cellular legacies, protein archaeology, and the recognizing of historical genetic markers. We did a regressive scan of each of the future soldiers and discovered that almost all of them are identical designer clones, engineered combinations of seed DNA. What that means is all of the soldiers from the future were genetically engineered from samples in the past. So then he takes all the people that would end up carrying those genetics and he kills them. And we see here that the heroes warp and melt away. So this shows that like the timeline they're in right now works off of causal time travel, and that destroying something in the past can affect it in the future. And Howard's like, bro, they're going to do the same shit to you. Like, you're crazy. And he says, they can't do that to me because I'm not from this universe. They can't find my past self. So if they want to face me, they have to face me at my full power right here. Okay. Then Howard's like, yeah, they did. And my friend died because of you. And he's like, I want to show you something. And he shows him this Immortus engine, okay, which also strangely kind of looks like a time loom a little bit. I don't know, maybe I'm reaching it, but it kind of looks like a time loom to me. And he's talking about how he made this device that allows him to travel. Now, a Mortis engine, unless I'm mistaken, this is the Forever Crystal in the original Avengers Forever. I don't know if this is ever really brought up in the second Avengers Forever, but I think this is a device that allows this causal time travel that we're seeing right now. Okay? Meaning, I believe this Immortus engine is what is making them able to actually change time travel in a causal sense, but I'm not 100% sure on that, okay? So, he basically says, I think you're the one that helped me make this. And he's like, oh, well, they're going to still come back. This is inconceivable. This is just the first encounter. And he says, no, it was the second. The first was weeks ago. And he takes off his helmet, and half of his face is missing. And Howard basically says what we're all thinking, like, bro, why are you not dead? And he says, I'm not like you. And this is kind of interesting. So, we know Reed can, move his body around, and he's all stretchy and shit, right? So what the Maker did was take his brain tissue and his heart and all of his valuable organs, and he spread them out within his own body so that all his vital organs were spread out, so that if there was ever a part of him that got destroyed that had vital stuff in, he still had vital organs spread throughout his body. It's really weird, but pretty damn cool. But what it has created is the fact that he cannot remember exactly what is going on. So he has a flawed and broken memory, but he ends the story by saying, I'm pretty sure you're the one that helped me build this. Okay? So we're making good time, by the way. We're already into issue 3. Okay, so we get the funeral of Obadiah Stane. We got a lot of stuff with Howard and his son talking about it. And he's like, what happened in Latveria, Dad? Because they don't really know too much, and that's where he died, and it's all crazy, okay? We go back to what actually was going down there, and he's brought before this kind of like council of, it's almost like an Illuminati, but it's all these like affluent world leaders within this new universe. Now, I'm going to kind of skip over a lot of this stuff, but basically it just shows that they are manipulating the world. And it says here, did Obadiah not explain to you how any of this worked? Because Obadiah was the representative from like the United States. Okay. Thank you, Lady Malfoy. So from time to time I would ask, but he never really said. I see now that maybe I should have listened. He says, I promise you, Mr. Stark, however it might appear to the world at large, there are no enemies in this room. While inside our non-adversarial... Oh, God damn it. While inside our non-adversarial nations, we rally our citizens against this great evil and all participate in whatever pageantry is required. Then, at the end of a generation, another territory, one that has spent the previous age becoming more belligerent, assumes the rogue state's mantle, while the previous one engages in a generation of performative regret. So they're basically saying that like the entire world politics is manipulated, and they're all kind of working together and just putting it in a cycle. A bunch of people are dying and everybody's getting mad, but they're just manipulating everything. So it's very like Illuminati, but more like the, conspiracy of, the real world Illuminati, which is pretty interesting. But and this is because of human nature. And they just do this because they need to rule over their lessers, and it's human nature, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So then Howard and Tony, we're back to them and answering maybe the question of what happened in Latveria. And essentially, he's saying that it's bananas, too many variables for a definite answer. The scale of it, the appetite of those people, the inhumanity masquerading as cold logic, I just don't know. You got any bright ideas? And he says, I think you should fight them and win. And he's just like, interesting, So then he rolls back up. Listen, son, I'm still processing what I've learned, but I have some ideas, but I'm not getting to the edge of where it might start. So give your old man a couple of weeks before I really start being disappointed in me. And he's making some decisions and trying to figure out what to do. Okay, so back in the city, he's being shown what's going on in the city. But right now, I'd rather not dwell on my current shortcomings, talking about his memory and whatnot. And he ends up taking him in there and introducing him to who looks like Dr. Doom. But it's not Dr. Doom. This is actually the Reed Richards of that universe. Okay? And we'll come to find out, too, that, like, the Reed of 1610, the Maker, is doing some shady, really torturous, weird things to this Reed, likely because of that last question he asked him before he bailed out of there, okay? Now, we cut to the far future. And this shit's weird. For thousands of years of careful genetic engineering was all for nothing. Despair in the end of it all things was before us, but we did not yield. Now we have 6,000 years of better stock, righteous blood, and your armies have been replaced. How much longer must we wait, Master? How much longer can we? And you see all of these different people. It's just that like they were depleted after that encounter. They spent 6,000 years working on new genetics to get all these new Captain Americas and Visions, etc., etc. And then you see this version of Kang saying that the time is now. And within the different crystals here, he's obviously been watching a lot of what was going on with the Maker. Now, this is kind of wild because we're not introduced to Kang until now, but you've seen Kang before, and there's even references to him earlier on in the story because that first attack of heroes from the future comes from the end of time, where a Kang, as there usually is at the end of time, is sending things back in time, manipulating the timeline, and trying to control it, as you do if you're a Kang. Okay? So now, let's get into the fourth issue. We're actually almost done, and then we're going to talk about how this could happen in the MCU, what are the similarities, and like what's going on with all that, okay? So we cut to a scene where basically Howard Stark and the Reed Richards wearing the Doom mask have a conversation. That Reed Richards says, I know secrets. He's basically saying, like, I know where the Maker comes from. I know what he's trying to do. And they're basically like acting like they're still working, but there's some speculation here that they have some kind of coded conversation throughout this. But essentially, all you really need to know is they formulate some kind of a plan, and they're going to work together to try to undermine the Maker. Okay, so 1 week later, are you ready? The hologram suit is functional. The conduit temperature is acceptable, but my psyche is below tolerable thresholds. Something like that. Yes, ready to go. My loyal swords said that you wanted to see me. They said you finally have something to show me. Is it true? And he's got the Immortus engine. Okay. So then he's this Reed Richards is given a letter for Tony and some data. And then he bails. Okay. He's like, yo, you've built it. This is awesome. And he says, I simply copied it. I made one of my own, a better version, if I do say so myself. The other is made by someone else's hands. Yours, if I had to guess. You just forgot that you had done. Some missing memory and a more whole Maker. Or maybe, oh goddamn, I hate when it does that. Or maybe this will take me to a previous me and I will copy it, make a better version of my own. And maybe that's the way of things, a copy of a copy all the way down, which is kind of interesting. That might actually have something to do with what happens later. All you're telling me is that I should crush it in my hands. Don't be rash. Boom, power coupler thingy. Power conduit terminator linked, remote access granted. What have you done? I've interrupted the city mainframe and dropped the temporal shield. I've opened the door to let the wolves in, and that's when Kang and his army attacks. And now we've locked them inside the city along with you. There are my loyal legions. There he is. There is no cost too high. Pate the Maker dies at any price. Are all targets acceptable? When he says all but one. That's another big clue as to who this Kang actually is, but we'll talk all about it in a minute. And he's talking about how you've played a game here, and Stark's like, no, it's not a game. I have to stop you. And he says, basically picking the third of two choices, which I found really interesting. Then you have the actual conflict between the Maker and Kang. Okay? Bring me Kang. There he is. I've waited 2 lives for this moment. That's another clue, I think. And now the moment is here. And they have a big old awesome double... I'm pretty sure this is a double page splash of them fighting like that. Super cool looking. Okay, so what ends up happening? A lot of battling. The Kang gets the upper hand on the Maker. And he... Super Vash, what's up, brother? I'll get to that in just a second, my friend. Okay, so you get to this, and the homie remembers that in his past, I'm trying not to get too timey-wimey here, but in the Maker's past, he went to the end of time. He arrived at the end of time to see how his new universe and all the stuff that he did to tamper with the universe, he was waiting to see, or wanted to see, how did that manifest itself into the far future. So in his past, he goes to the far future and meets Kang. This Kang says, "You're my maker, and what you witness now is my origin." And he blasts his face off. And that is how the homie first lost his memories. Now, that's really timey-wimey. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around. But it's essentially like, at some point, so Kang does all this stuff, or rather, the Maker does all this stuff to set the universe on a certain path, and he's trying to control all the variables. He does a bunch of it, and then he goes to the far future, and he ends up meeting a Kang that is created, because everything essentially in this universe was created by the Maker. And so because of the stuff and the tinkering that the Maker did, it creates this Kang that then at the end of time takes a shot at him, blasts away his memories, putting him back into the timeline with half of his memories in order to have his own origin. It's very Immortus. It's very Iron Lad from the OG, like Avengers Forever and that kind of stuff. Okay. So then at the height of their conflict, Howard Stark pops up. His Immortus engine is going to blow up. He allows it to blow up and kind of destroys a bunch of people within there. Now, this Doctor Doom, that's actually Reed, which they do this a lot in comics. I'm pretty sure Age of X, Doctor Doom was Reed. I'm pretty sure in the Timeless story, that was also a Reed as Doctor Doom. They do this a lot, man. It's kind of interesting. So anyway, that Doctor Doom, or rather that Reed Richards, is having an internal dialogue about leaving this prison for another prison, which is interesting. I think it's a commentary on like how he feels like even just normal life, maybe with a family, is some kind of a prison. I don't really know. Anyway, we see here that there's another explosion or bomb of sorts set, I believe, by Reed. And then we get this scene here as everything's winding down after the big bomb. Howard takes off the mask of Kang, and he's shook. He's shook. Okay? Then we cut back in, and there's some really weird shit going on the city or the dome. All the citizens are looking at it. Nobody knows really what it is. All of the, like, people in Latveria don't exactly know what to do. They decide they're just going to cut up the United States for themselves and start running things on their own, is essentially all that happens there. Then, back in Stark Tower, in the present timeline, after the events of a lot of stuff that we just saw, we see Tony, Anthony Stark, getting the letter from his father, the Immortus engine, and the data. Okay? And the Reed Richards says, "The world was ending, Anthony, the future colliding with the now. Temporal kings were being overthrown, and the multiversal evils were being undone. But bringing these things to you was my most important task. The machine that broke Immortus engine, which you and I have already repaired. The secret files you showed me, and this, a letter from my father," okay? So basically, he's like, I'm going to need a suit. Starts making the suit. It has timey-wimey stuff. It's temporal as well. And Reed's like, "Are you going to be Iron Man after your father?" And he's like, "No, for now, I'll just be Iron Lad, at least until I've earned a better name." And the thing that's really wild about that shit, of course, is Iron Lad in 616, and I think in maybe most universes, is a younger Nathaniel Richard who leaves the time stream to come to modern times in order to try to stop Kang. So basically, it's never explicitly said, but because of this name and because of a lot of the other clues, it's implied that the Kang at the end of time is Tony Stark. And that at this moment in time, he's Iron Lad. So basically, Kang and Iron Lad in the new Ultimates universe is Tony Stark, which is kind of an interesting way if they were going to hold on to that for a reboot. That's kind of an interesting idea. But let's keep going because something else really cool happens at the end here. We get a little bit of the letter from Tony's dad to him. Just talking about how pure Tony is, really. It's a really cool, like, father-son kind of moment. Highly recommend you all check it out. And he finds what the Maker could not find. Captain America, frozen in ice. So we have a new Ultimates Captain America that this new Ultimates Iron Man is going to thaw out and have a new Avengers in the Ultimates universe. So that's all. It's all pretty crazy. I know we just went on a wild tangent there. What do you guys think? Do you have any questions? And then I want to talk about how I think the MCU could adapt this and why I think it's so damn cool. And why I think it's so damn cool. I felt confused. It is a confusing book. It took me a couple of different times, and I watched some videos too to try to fully get it. And there's still some, there's a lot of stuff that I think is just going to be left to linger. You know what I mean? I really don't know how it's all going to pick up in the new Ultimates, Because, for instance, one of the things that's weird is, there's going to be a Spider-Man. Is that book going to begin with Tony taking another spider to that Peter? Because we've already seen that Peter does not get bit by the spider. It's okay, but in the actual original Ultimate timeline, what was Captain America like, Josh? I mean, he was way more hard-edged, way more violent. You could say more badass, too. He became president in the Ultimates universe at one point, I believe. And doesn't he, beat Hank Pym to death? Maybe I'm getting that wrong. Yeah, we're getting Ultimate Spider-Man with the Ultimate Peter Parker. But that's my question is, is that going to happen in this universe? Normies are not going to the lengths that you did in order to understand it. It would be a less practical choice for the MCU. So I will definitely address that question for sure, because I don't think you can do a one-to-one adaptation of that because, yeah, it is really confusing. But I think a lot of the fixtures that make this story work are the same fixtures that could make a new MCU reboot work. What about T'Challa? I don't know if I have too many memories of Ultimates T'Challa, to be honest with you. I don't really remember. I remember Hawkeye kind of had guns at one point, and he was super violent. That was awesome. I remember Ultimate Thor. I kind of want to go back and reread some of the original Ultimates, because I think that was Mark Miller, wasn't it? A lot of it. No, Ultimate Hank died from an explosion thanks to Ultimate Multiple Men. That was Ultimates 3. Oh, interesting. Okay. The new Ultimate Spider-Man is supposed to be like Spider-Verse? Peter B. Parker? Oh, 3 was Jeff Loeb. Okay, interesting. Yeah. I've been looking at some of those comics, too. I was kind of thinking about, picking up some of those old books just because... and I think some of them have actually jumped in value due to the new Ultimates universe coming back. So, yeah. 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 Okay, so why do I think they're laying the groundwork for something like this to happen? Well, there's a couple of different things. Number one, I think the fact that Secret Wars plays, I think, a pretty big role in all of this. Because you got to understand that the Maker doesn't formulate his plan until he visits the Baxter Building and he finds all of Reed's files seemingly about all of the other universes and him putting the multiverse back together. Okay? So the fact that that lingers heavy, and the fact that there may be some people that remember that, and that could be important for the story overall, I think is cool. And I think that's also something that they could take with them into the MCU reboot. Because after Secret Wars, like, it's kind of going to suck if nobody in canon remembers Secret Wars at all. So it's like, I feel like you have to have some people that do remember. And I've been thinking a lot about the new Fantastic Four movie and the potential for all of that, right? Because, man, I really want them to do the Maker, and I don't know if they will do the Maker. We've speculated about this before, guys, because, I mean, there's been so many casting rumors at this point that it kind of could make sense that they're setting up multiple reads. You know what I mean? What's this comic run called? So this is Ultimate Invasion. It's a 4-part series. I recommend you buy it. Get it at your local comic shop. I got it on Comixology. But yeah, I'd recommend picking it up. It's a little expensive, just to be real with you. But it's a really fun series that's going to set up this new Ultimates universe. So for me, guys, like, I'm kind of getting back into Marvel Comics with this new Ultimates universe in a very real way. And I'm excited that I think this is going to tie into the MCU reboot, and I think that's going to be really, really cool. So, Powder, thanks for the 10, man. Says, Unite, I'm listening to this while building scaffolding 300 feet in the air. Nerd Ventures for life, dog. Much love from a potish mine in Saskatchewan, Canada? In Canada? Well, damn, dog. 300 feet in the air? Bro, don't slip up. Don't be typing while you're doing it. Holy cow. That's cool, though. Thanks for the love, man. Okay, so that's like sort of the first thing that I think would be an interesting fixture to keep is this idea of Secret Wars, because they're doing Secret Wars. We know they're doing Secret Wars. 300 feet, that's it? My God, man. So we know they're doing Secret Wars. And I assume that this Secret Wars we're about to get has a little bit of that Avengers Forever energy. Okay? And I kind of feel that, oh man, how do I explain this? I think Deadpool 3 is going to show us a lot of different variants and potentially a lot of variants working together. A little bit similar to what you get in Spider-Man No Way Home, where you might have your Deadpool, you might have your Kidpool, you might have your Lady Deadpool, maybe Headpool, a bunch of pools working together. And we saw a bunch of Spider-Man working together. And I think you might have a thing where you get a bunch of Wolverines potentially working together, because you're going to see a bunch of Wolverines in Deadpool 3 as well. And I'm kind of getting the sense that that's going to be a thing done by the TVA due to some of the leaks and rumors that are out there. The TVA is looking around for people to populate New Earth, and they're trying to grab up different people from different universes, but they're also recruiting a multiversal group of Avengers. Kind of secretly is what is said about that. So, I could see a scenario in which you get a ton of different versions of Captain America, a ton of different versions of Iron Man, like a true Avengers Forever kind of vibe happening within the multiversal saga. And then there's going to be some of those people that carry over into the new universe. And again, I think some people that potentially remember the old universe. Now, I also like the idea of Kang being Tony Stark. And again, it's not completely confirmed that that's what's happening. But there's this cool thing that they do in comics often, and I really think the MCU needs to tap into this energy, and that's that we establish characters in such a way that you can make changes to them, and instead of feeling like this disrespectful, like, oh man, they're changing this for whatever reason, blah, 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 blah. It's just done because it's interesting. Like, it's literally just done because it's interesting. And we take our comic book knowledge into these new versions of these characters. So, like, a Kang that's actually Tony Stark. You just knowing the basics of Kang, you knowing the basics of Tony Stark via the MCU, maybe some of the comics you've read, etc., maybe some of the video games you've played, you have a sense already of what that character's gonna be like. You know? It's elseworldy, it's really like fun energy, you know? And so currently right now, there's a lot of them saying like, we'll never, or I guess the attitude for Marvel in the Infinity Saga so far has been like, we don't want to recast Tony Stark. There's only one Tony Stark, you know? We don't want to recast T'Challa. There's only one T'Challa. It was Chadwick Boseman, etc. Right? We don't like the recasting thing, even though they do recast like Red Hulk and stuff, right? But if it's true that they're really doing this soft reboot, which I really think it is, I think that logic and that thinking ends there. And I think you then would get a new Tony Stark. And I think you would then get a new T'Challa. I think you would get a new Captain America. And you'd have this completely new kind of rebooted thing. But you also have the opportunity to do things a little bit different. And I like this idea that there's something wrong with the universe. Like there's something wrong with this world. Because whatever gets rebuilt after Secret Wars, I don't think it's going to be just this perfectly stable thing that is fine and there's no lingering issues from the old stuff. And that would go against like Marvel's very logic. Of course you want to streamline it, but you also want to reward fans that have been engaged with the process this whole time and that have all of this knowledge and experience with the characters of the past. So if some things were to show up from the old universe, or some things that were prevalent in the old universe get mirrored in the new, it draws this really interesting parallel that's kind of fun for the fans to check it out, right? And I think that via the next couple of years, we're probably going to get to know a lot about Kang. And we're going to know a lot about what makes Kang tick, you know, especially via the Kang Dynasty. I feel like that's going to be a big thing there. And we're going to understand a lot about Kang. If there's a different person that's Kang, if Kang's wearing an Iron Man suit at the beginning of the new MCU universe, I mean, I think that's really, really intriguing. And what you're seeing is the fight between Kang, who is a creation and extension of just what happened in this universe, that gets to the end of time and wants to stop the Maker, but ultimately the Maker is the one that began the whole universe. So you kind of have these two opposing forces, one from the beginning of, one from the end of everything, and one from the beginning of everything. But you want to cancel Kang Dynasty? I'm still down. Cancel it and put all that cool shit just into Secret Wars. Cancel it! But they probably won't. So yeah, I mean, I think the story's dope, man. And I think there's a lot of different ways that Marvel could adapt it, because you're kind of seeing that already. We've got this thing at the end of time, right? We've got the Kangs, the Council of Kangs at the end of time. You've got the Avengers trying to fight from within. And it's like, how do you think they're going to reboot it? Well, they're going to have somebody, right now it's the TVA, that's going to be setting up the new world. The new world is going to be created. So it's not a natural world. It's not going to be this natural thing. And I think one of the fun things about this is really where I think pulls it all together here, okay? At the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, part of the joy, part of the fun was experiencing what the MCU version of these things was going to be. Many of us knew about Captain America. We knew about different things, whether it's from the old Spider-Man cartoon, we've read some comics, maybe we watched some other cartoons. We know a little bit about Captain America. But what is Captain America like in the MCU? What is Iron Man like in the MCU? And there's subtle changes, right? Like some of the origin stuff's very similar, but then there's changes. And the joy was, okay, so this isn't going to be exactly like I remember. But I'm excited to see, what are the changes? How does this manifest? And that's an interesting thing. Marvel needs to re-tap into that energy again. And so if we go into this new reboot and we're checking out the new Spider-Man, which is probably still going to be Tom Holland, but there's probably a lot of stuff that's changed, right? We're going to be like, well, how is this Spider-Man different? What are the differences? Oh, maybe he's actually a little bit more aggressive. Maybe he's a little bit more cold. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's interesting. And to watch the universe be built and understand the dynamic of it, I think is part of the joy. That's part of the value proposition. And now we're at a place where it's just too much. There's just too much going on, and it's hard to follow, and it's hard to like appreciate the developing of these characters in this world. So if they reboot it all, it's going to be fascinating to watch how that all manifests. And I do think there's going to be some connections to what Hickman's doing, because Feige pretty much has a boner for Hickman. I mean, any like real comic book sweaty, I think, has at least some kind of a boner for Hickman. He's one of the greatest writers, has turned in maybe the greatest Avengers run ever under the Marvel banner. So Hickman is prime real estate for them to adapt. So there you have it. There's the book. That's the MCU conversation. We'll get into Q&A here in a little bit. I'll go over the super chats, member chats, and all that. But what do you think? What do you think? Do you think I'm right? Do you think we're calling it way ahead of time? Do you know how crazy it'll be if we're right on? So what if they don't do any of this? Then I'll be like this. Oh, that's a shame. Anyway. Feige did borrow the Black Order from Infinity Comic by Hickman. Yes! And I think he did Secret Wars not because of Jim Shooter, but because of Hickman. Immortus engine equals multiversal engine. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Avengers, The Rise of She-Hulk would be epic. You don't say that. You don't say that. More people should read comics. I 100% agree with you. I'm working on it. That's part of the reason why we're doing this stream. I want to try to get people excited about the new Ultimate stuff. Don't worry. We're going to try to get more people into comics. That's a big part of my mission statement now, because I'm making comics again. So I'm going to my comic shop for lunch to get issue 2. My man! Let's go. So how do you think this new Ultimate Universe will succeed, and will it replace the main universe? It'll be interesting to see how it does. I mean, there's a lot of buzz on it right now. I think people are really excited. The teams they put together for the actual first 4 books are fire. A lot of interesting stuff in there. So it's just going to depend, man. It's going to depend on how the sweats, the OGs, how are the comic people embracing this. I don't think it's a big secret that Marvel's just, they've had some good books, and I think Marvel books have actually been pretty good over the past couple of years, but a lot of the audience is just not responding well to a lot of this stuff. So it's hard to say, but I think, because kind of like the Brevoort, like the Jason Aaron Avengers. Like, I really like Jason Aaron stuff, and it was really cool with, like, the Million BC and the Multiversal Masters of Evil, like, the Deathlocks. I liked all that stuff. I thought it was really cool. But, like, I don't know, man. Just some people weren't feeling it. And so, even though that era was cool, it's like, how does that really tie into Axe? And I just feel like we haven't had something as strong and universally as loved as when Hickman was doing the Avengers leading up to Secret Wars. We haven't had something that's like that universally loved. So it's cool now that like Brevoort's kind of doing X-Men stuff. And I've tried out the first 5 issues of the new Avengers, and it's fine. It's nothing crazy. It's fine. I don't think it's going to win anybody over like big time. But this shit seems like it could. The new Ultimates universe could end up being like, I would love for this to be Marvel's 4 biggest books of the year, to be huge, moving some serious copies, and to get people more engaged and excited with Marvel Comics. But it's kind of just yet to be determined, How would you reintroduce Luke Cage into the MCU based on where he was when we last saw him? Well, I don't know if you would consider, I think you're kind of asking me, considering the Netflix shows as canon. And I mean, look, I don't know if I would do that, but what I would do is in the new rebooted, I would just have Heroes for Hire and Iron Fist and Power Man just established already as the Heroes for Hire, and just have them do awesome and dope shit. That's what I would do. But we'll see. How do you think Miles Morales' Spider-Man will factor into this new Ultimate Universe? I think he has to. I think the card that the maker gave him is going to come into play later, for sure. Yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't really know. Maybe he'll go in. Yo, what if it loops and the new Miles becomes the new Uncle Ben for the Ultimates Peter? And I'm not trying to put that evil on Miles, because that would mean he would die. But yeah, that could be cool. Netflix not canon with Cottonmouth, now the new Blade. Oh yeah, and I mean, one thing that's really bro, that Joanna Robinson book that we talked about yesterday, that book makes it pretty clear Feige despises Marvel Television. None of that shit's canon as far as he's concerned. So 616 Miles is probably gone. Hard to say. Yeah, it's just way too early. We're speculating on all that. You know what I mean? Yeah, well, there is now, Nigel. The 616 Miles is 1610 Miles. I'm pretty sure they just keep him there after Secret Wars, and for all intents and purposes, he is now 616 Miles. Yeah, who knows? Who knows how it'll all shake out, man? I don't really know. All right, let's get into some Q's and some A's. Let's just see what the soupy chats and member chats and everything was, and then we'll get on out of here. Toxic, what's up? He says, what's up, bro? Just got to say one thing. Unity! Dude, it was so fun. We all kept yelling Unity at the meetup. It was a super good time. 23 Leafs says, so sad for Nerd Theory. I met you there. Till today, only sub to you. Still, the lives and those lives on Monday were my biggest fountain of dopamine. Sad, but good luck to you, and stick to the plan. I appreciate it, man. It's not an easy thing to walk away from, but I got to do what I feel is right. And I'm very excited about progress we're making on Unity. And man, it's just comics, comics and storytelling, and being a little bit more actually involved in the industry. That's what I want to do. So I'm on my path, Bismo says, that meetup looked fire. I wish I could have gone, but excited that it's a yearly thing now. Win next diamond. Junior aero engineering class got me so busy. Oh, damn, dude. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, we're going to try to do the meetups once a year as long as everything, keeps going in the direction that it's going. We should be able to do that. Next Diamond Lounge. It's going to have to probably be next week, brother. I got a busy Friday. It's Elisa's birthday. We are going to do Saturday morning cartoon. But it's Elisa's birthday on Saturday. So we're going out Friday. We're also going out Saturday. So have to be next week. Brutal Bear 64 says, I'm Rebel Swoon for Rebel Moon. Good morning, Josh. Nerd Vengers for life. Let's go! So you'll watch my Rebel Moon videos. You got to watch them a couple of times because I don't know how the algorithm's going to treat me. Jose with the 99 cents. Thanks for the 99 cents. Super Vouch says, hey, I was the Spider Punk at the meetup. I missed the stream yesterday. Good to meet you all. I don't remember tequila shots. I know some of you didn't like my takes on Ahsoka, example Meister, but I think of all of you as friends now. Dude, it was an incredible time, man. I'm so glad we got to chat it up. We chatted a lot at the tequila bar, too. I have some funny memories of you in particular, man. So it was a good time. Tequila shots were great. but it seems like maybe you didn't need them. You know what I mean? But appreciate you, man. Hope to see you again at the meetup next year. That would be really cool, bro. Or at least at New York Comic Con, because I'm going to try to come through New York either way, so maybe we'll meet up there. The talented Mr. Griffin says, 1 more month until gold. Proud to be a part of this community, and I can't wait for the Chicago, hopefully, meetup. Nerd Avengers for life. Yeah, man, and I appreciate the love. I appreciate all the support. Talented Mr. Griffin, I see you all the time in the chat. I think we modded you over a year ago, so I appreciate it, bro. I want to do Chicago next year. The only thing is I think C2E2 is earlier in the year, and I want to have Unity fully out, and I want to have like about a year space till the next meetup, so I'm trying to figure that out. So maybe it's Chicago, just not during C2E2. I don't know. We'll figure it out, though. Angel Stark says, Tony Stark as Kang would solve everything for the MCU. Thanks, Josh. I now have faith once more. I also think it would solve a lot. Because you're taking the end note character of Kang, who we explore via the multiversal saga, via Secret Wars, and you're taking the guy that started it all, for 616 at least, or I guess Earth 199, whatever, and you smash them together, and you kind of create a new character. I mean, that's one of the fun things about the Ultimates universe, dude. So, yeah. Vincent says, I need the director's cut answer. Oh, bro. Yeah. Oh, man. I remember. Yeah. So we were all like taking shots and chilling, and he asked me a question of what movie out there would I really want a director's cut of? Let me try to give you a good answer here, bro. Let me try and think about this. Let me just think. So a couple of my favorite director's cuts. Troy, the director's cut of Troy is incredible. Batman v Superman, incredible director's cut. Watchmen director's cut. I'm trying to think of what other ones I've really, really enjoyed. I mean, I would obviously want the David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad for sure. You know what else? I wonder if there's a director's cut of that movie Bright from way back in the day that David Ayer did with Will Smith on Netflix. That would be a really interesting one to see the director's cut of. Yeah, I don't know. That's gonna be my pick, is the movie Bright, because I thought there was a lot of promise in that concept and that world building. I wonder if Netflix just kind of jammed them up or whatever. But yeah, that's my answer, brother. Appreciate you, man. Grizzly Khan says, yo, my son went with grandpa to a con last weekend in Tampa to meet R.L. Stein. Went upstairs and there was a $40K US Open tournament going on. Dad nerds everywhere, bro. Let's go. I actually heard about that GT. That's crazy, man. That's super cool. Josh I says, what up, Papa Josh? Hope all is well. Keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate all you do. Nerd Avengers for Life PS just turned 39. One more year till 40. Well, Josh I will never forget you flying around in the Mando helmet, helping us to defend Nerd Avengers Tower, bro. Those were good times. And it's also rare to find a Nerd Avenger that's older than me. So thank you for that as well, brother. Much love to you. Lloyd says, Taylor Swift going to be Dazzler? I think so. And by the way, I'm all about it. I feel like I'm a little bit more on the Taylor Swift train than a lot of you guys are, though. So I'm not trying to push it as much anymore. Because I remember one time on stream, I was kind of trolling y'all a little bit with the T Swift thing, where I was like, oh, bro, did Taylor Swift win her game last night? Oh, she's just so good for the NFL. But some of you guys got super butthurt about that. And I was like, ooh, well, I can back off that one, you know. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that one. Kraken says, cast Ewan McGregor as a hero from the multiverse. Have him meet Tom Holland Spider-Man and have Holland go, that's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. Dude, that would be wild. That would be pretty cool. I wouldn't even be mad at it, to be honest with you. I would think it's kind of cool. Yeah. What's Trev saying? Yeah, that's true, Adam. The Toronto will be just as big as Chicago or bigger. What time of the year is that? We could do a Toronto Comic-Con. USD go further in Canada. T-Swift versus Prime Anakin, who would win? I appreciate that question. That's really funny. And T-Swift would mop the floor with Anakin, dude. Are you kidding me? T-Swift for life. Sorry I missed you, brother. I had to get my shield signed by Cap himself. Was a journey. Oh, I'm sure it was, man. I'm sure it was. That seems cool. Damn, C2E2 is sounding like it's taking my tax refund if I get one. Well, let's see. Let's wait. I want to try to make it as accessible as possible, you know? I felt like the meetup this time was great. Borderline perfect. And having, scaling it up is going to be interesting. And I want to just be a little bit more prepared and everything. But, we'll figure it out. Dude, it was such a cool reminder. And, like, I've kind of been buzzing ever since. And it just puts things into a different perspective. Like, when you meet people, when people in the flesh are, like, actually congregating and having fellowship, based on, like, a thing you built, it's, like, crazy. So... yeah, dude, it's been keeping me... I just feel different, and I want to have that every year and be able to see y'all every year and check in on you guys and make sure we're all good and everything. So we're definitely going to do it. I just got to figure it out. T-Swift in Deadpool 3, and it's going to make $2 billion. I mean, you can't deny how much she has been bolstering things, and her brand is crazy. But there is this argument to be made about overexposure. There is a possibility... I mean, I don't know. If she's not overexposed, she's got to be close. I mean, she's everywhere. It's crazy, Hello from Clemson University. Hopefully I can make it to the meetup once I get a well-paying job after college. That's the attitude. Much love to you, Josh. I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. Though the Eternals seems meaningless in the MCU, with intro of Star Fox, I think we get a spin-off Guardians of the Galaxy comic run where Thanos is... rezzed via Star Fox, having Thanos' mind backed up inside him. Yeah, I mean, I think Thanos after the reboot is still going to be a big problem. And I'm interested in, like, are they doing Eternity Wars and what's that about? Because what if that place is the God Quarry, okay? I thought about this. I'll just throw this scene out there for you, okay? What if, let's say we get Secret Wars. Let's say they do Eternity Wars, and it's basically just Secret Wars Part 2, where they're trying to stop Kang from killing Eternity. And they stop him, they figure it out, the new universe is established, everything's dope, everything's cool. And then the post-credit scene has Thanos at the end of time in a new God Quarry. And he turns to face the camera kind of just like he did in the OG Avengers post-credit scene. And we're all like, bro, holy shit. Holy shit. Thanos now at the end of time. And then we go into the new universe kind of thinking about that Thanos, That'd be cool. I think Nintendo movies do better numbers than Marvel in the next decade. It's possible. I wouldn't even be mad at it. Vince, to be honest with you, I like those movies, and I would cover them too if they got, kind of popular enough and were able to drive conversation in the same way. Because, like, I like the Mario movie, but there's not too much there as to really pick apart. But I mean, Zelda could be great, Star Fox could be great, and if they start pulling them together via some Smash Bros kind of stuff, whew, that'd be cool, man. They got to try and reserve Thanos again. They got to not try and reserve. Well, I would argue that Thanos is always awesome in Marvel Comics. Very rarely am I like, oh, Thanos again. Like, I'm more like, oh, shit, what's he up to this time? I think Thanos is dope. So, especially King Thanos, man. Yeah. I'd be down. But that you don't do it the same way, right? You put a new spin on it or whatever. You have it happen in a different kind of way. So, if you come to Chicago for a meetup, I'll be there with espresso and blinkers. Let's go! Two of my favorite things. And then I just think of my favorite things. Yeah, man. Yeah. Infinity Gauntlet Wolverine for the 50th anniversary. Yeah, that shit looks dope, man. The Wolverine book. I think it's just... Isn't it just a bunch of covers? But yeah, the art looks great. That'd be a cool collector item for sure. Yeah. It's all jokes, but it's convoluted. I want something Kang just write and connect it well. Didn't Josh Brolin say his contract was open-ended for Thanos? I think maybe. I don't know about that. They did a Thanos comic book in like 2019 that wasn't very good. Really? Wait a minute. Are you talking about Thanos Wins? Because I thought that book was dope. Infinity? Are you talking about Infinity End or whatever it was called with Thane and the... Bruh, are you kidding me? I think I like that one. Bruh, what are you talking about? Bruh, hey, bruh. Hey, bro. Bruh. Guys, we've got to get Trinity to start checking out some manga. There's this thing happening right now with a lot of comic fans where they're mad that like manga's, making a big splash, and even a little bit taking over Comic-Con. And a lot of the OG comic fans are upset about it. And I say no. I say embrace it. I say manga and comics are like this. That's what I say. So let's just start getting some good manga sent out to Trinity. Start to get him some manga and some mangoes. Yeah, manga, it is comics. Actually, you know what? I have come to believe that the true comic book capital of the world is Tokyo. It's actually a city outside of Tokyo, but it's Japan. Anakin Stark says, to answer your question from yesterday, my real name is Anthony. My girlfriend and I had a great time at the meetup. All y'all were awesome. So, Anthony, I believe you were on my team, right, for Unite? And it was you, it was your girlfriend, it was Spencer, and it was Spartan Joker. Is that who you are? Or was you hanging out with your girl at a different table? Team Unity, let's go, man. I remember you. We chatted it up all night. Hell yeah. That was a good time, man. Very good time, bro. Yeah, it's just like I still had trouble, like, after the whole thing, like, trying to be like, okay, I know this person now. Like, if I was in front of them, I'd be like, yo. But also, like, what's their username? Like, trying to, you know what I mean? Figure that out, so. Are you further in One Piece now? Yeah, not too far, though. Not too far. We've diverted a little bit. Like, we went through 2 seasons of One Punch Man, and then we've been watching Mob Psycho 100. I like that dude's style. Man. So we've been having fun with that. I feel like an outsider listening to you talk about the meetup. Well, that's okay. Every insider was once an outsider before they came inside. Think about it. What arc am I in? Whatever's right after the stuff they cover in the show's first season. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I'm a broke venture now, Josh, because of college. Hopefully I can get your membership again and join back. Much love. Hey, bro, I totally get it. Life is tough right now. I'm hoping all this shit turns around. I'm hoping conflicts die down. I'm hoping economies turn around. I'm hoping people can have more money in their bank account, have a little less stress in their lives. That would be freaking awesome for all of us. And if that happens, which it kind of has to, I think it'll be just chill. People have a little bit more money, and it's going to be better. So, have I read Invincible? I'm going through it right now. I just got past the part where he is forced to marry the fish lady. The fish lady. I don't know if it's that simple, Vince, although I think a lot of that is probably going to happen. I think there's a multifaceted problem that needs to be addressed, but also, like, I think we can address it, you know? I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but, like, how much of this is us just paying for what happened during the pandemic? And if you know about what I would call the $13 trillion problem, that's really what we're talking about, is a $13 trillion problem. And maybe we're still living through the best case scenario, because I don't think just letting everything completely crash and wither and die is the move either. So, yeah, hopefully that gets sorted out. Ever hear any leaks on the Marvels? Oh, yeah, I know the whole movie. What do you want to know? I'm not going to talk about the spoilers here, but yeah, no, I know exactly what's going to happen in the Marvels. I still want to check it out for myself, see how it flows together, see how the performances are, the action looks, etc. Post-credit scenes are dope. Well, at least one of them is. West Coast Nerd Avengers meet up. Jedi Mike and I. We don't need Josh. Hey, don't say that, Trinity. I'd love to come over there and see y'all. I'm more of a East Coast boy myself. But I hang out with some of y'all for sure. Any opinion on Godzilla vs. Kong vs. Justice League? I haven't read it, actually. Was it dope? Hey, dude, that's awesome. Just got a huge promotion, a new role. Super hype. Gonna have to move, however. This channel has helped me a lot along the way and will continue to do so. So take my money. Hey, I appreciate you, man. You moving far? Because you're in New York. I think your girlfriend's in Philly. Do you have to move far? Either way, bro, you're always welcome in the tower, man. We got you. And I know sometimes moving to a new place can be scary. When I first moved out to Philly, I didn't know anybody, bro. You know what I mean? So you'll figure it out, man. The Great Lakes Avengers are the real Avengers. Jesus Christ. Memphis or New Orleans? Okay. Gotcha. Hey, much love, brother. You're going to be fine. Orlando, baby. I love Orlando, Chris. Also, I had a great time chilling with you too, Chris. It was good, man. It was good. All right, guys, I got to get on out of here. I appreciate y'all coming to this stream. I know these comic book ones don't pop the same way. I think that's okay. But I just wanted to kind of talk about what was on my mind. You know, maybe introduce you guys a little bit to what that story is and what Marvel's about to do, because maybe some of us can get in on that, and that could be cool. So, yeah, we'll keep it moving. I appreciate you guys. I got to think. Now I got to figure out. I got some work to do on my comic book. I got to figure out videos. So I got to get out of here. But I really appreciate you guys. Loki Season 2 watch party tomorrow night. 8:30 p.m. We'll be live. And we'll watch Loki Episode 3 together as well. It's going to be dope. All right, everybody. Much love. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? That was a good one. You know, I know it's not for everybody. I knew it wasn't going to do huge numbers, but I was like, you know what, man, screw it. That's what I want to talk about. So that's what we're going to do today. So I hope you got informed. I hope you had some fun. Hope you were able to nerd out. And we'll be back at it tomorrow night and Friday morning. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you open up your third eye and wash out your stinky butt. Ah!